Disney Nature just released their brand new film, Penguins, the 10th in their series of nature documentaries, on April 17, 2019.
We went to see the movie, and now we're going to give you our thoughts on the plot, the penguins, and everything in between about the movie.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Eye to Eye Disney Through Our Eyes. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Jessica.
And we are going to be talking about Penguins, and this is going to be a little bit different than our normal series of videos we do for all the Disney films, where we normally do a spoiler-free one and a spoiler one. This is a Disney Nature documentary. I mean, yes,
it's really short.
It is short. There's technically a plot, but I don't think you're all too worried about being spoiled about what happens in the life of a penguin. If you are, maybe don't watch this. Maybe don't watch it if you want to, but hey, it's got spoilers technically. I feel weird in a documentary saying, hey, there's spoilers here. But
nature happens.
Since technically there are spoilers, this is going to be one of those type of videos. So we're going to ask Jessica, as she always does such a great job of, her 60-second review of the film. I'm excited for this one.
Let me do the timer this time.
Apparently I've lost privileges on the timer.
Well, the last time you cut me off, so let's just set this timer.
I don't know that it's so much cutting off as opposed to just adding commentary.
Don't add commentary.
But it's so much fun.
Ready? Set.
Are you ready?
Go. So this movie starts out with Ed Helms, who's one of my favorite actors. He is a narrator. We see Steve the penguin, and Steve is trying to get to the water to go make a nest, and then there's a nest, and he has to make a nest so that he can mate a mate, and the nest has to be really good, and like there's fighting among the penguins about who's going to get the right nesting spot, and they have to bring rocks over. And anyway, so he finds this nice penguin. Her name is Adeline or something, and they mate, and they do this weird like bird like call thing where they're like talking and their necks are up and they're like making all these noises so that they know each other, who the penguin is. So they make babies, they have the babies, and then they've got to go back up to the land, out from the water, and then they just got to feed the other penguins. And then there's like all these creatures that try to kill penguins, and everybody survives, and basically that's it. But there was a lot of good things, and apparently penguins feed each other through their like gullets. I'm not sure what that's called, but that was gross. And time.
You know, you don't have to use up all 60 seconds. You could just like say, that was it. That was good.
But I'm going to use all the time I'm given.
First time ever she's gotten the entire plot in there without missing significant portions. Granted, this was an hour.
This was an hour and 16-minute film.
16 minutes?
Yeah.
Was it that long? Okay. Well, so let's just talk about it. What did you think about, how about this? Ed Helms is the narrator for this Disney Nature film. What did you think about it?
I love Ed Helms. I think he did a really good job. And actually, I didn't remember that it was Ed Helms until probably halfway through the movie. His voice sounded completely different, but it was a really good job.
I think, at least for us as humans,
as opposed to penguins,
what we think of as penguins, we tend to think of them as these goofy, but they look like they're like dressed formally, so you almost feel like they're just
they're not. They fight, and they like fight off attackers like those bird things that swooped in.
But for the Ed Helms side of it, you know, everyone knows him as the character of Andy on The Office, and he always wanted to be more proper and, you know, all that kind of thing. But he was just a big goofball, so I think it was the perfect choice because people are going to associate that character with Ed Helms always in his voice.
Right.
And when you add that to a penguin who's really cool, really beautiful, but clumsy at the same time, I think it was a perfect pick for a narrator for this film.
Fair. I agree with that.
What else stuck out to you from the film?
Again, the predators for penguins.
Yeah.
So I knew that, what are they called? Something seals?
Leopard seals.
Leopard seals. I knew those were predators of penguins. I did not know that those birds that flew in.
Skuas, yep.
A skua, that they would come in and try to take eggs and actually take the eggs. I didn't know anything about that. So that was pretty cool to see. And that they would try to take penguin babies, the weaker ones. So that was really interesting for me to see. And see how penguins fight off birds because, I mean, I guess penguins are actually birds, but they don't fly. Yeah. So it was neat to kind of see their fighting. I shouldn't say it was neat, but nobody died, so.
Now, technically, they fly through the water, so to speak.
They don't fly in the air.
They are not considered flightless birds because they still use their wings or flippers to locomote to get through that. Sorry, I got through my whole zookeeper spiel there.
Fair. The other thing that was really funny to me was watching them in the water and like dive and come up looking like dolphins. Is that more
funny than watching them waddle and slip everywhere on the ground?
Oh man, that was so funny. That was really cute.
Here's a good thing and think why this Disney nature film was such a success. With us, we've done the Born in China film. If you haven't seen that, go back and watch that one. We reviewed that one. It was good, but I think this one, it had a sole focus on one species specifically. It wasn't just a group of it because there's lots and lots of species of penguins. We saw emperor penguins in this one too, but they focused on the Adelie penguins. So you had a singular focus. You also had a lot of humor built into this, and they just kind of accepted the fact that people are going to think that penguins are hilarious, and just kind of roll with it. And they didn't try to overload you with too much of knowledge about penguins. Fair. They tried to work it in, and then most of the time they let Ed Helms be Ed Helms and tell the story his way. And I think that's what made this documentary work and why I had such a good experience watching it. The other thing that stuck out to me was the music. Oh, yes. They had like 90s retro, even back to the 80s music. It was so awesome. It wasn't the typical I don't know, just music, like typical just musicals, It wasn't like that typical documentary where it's like all mystical music. No, this was hysterical. Yeah. They had little love songs when the two penguins started mating. And it was funny. They didn't show the mating on film, but they did. Would you like to do a penguin mating dance for them? I don't think I would like to. Basically, they just kind of do this motion, and then they lean their necks up and make that weird sound. It's very entertaining. So that they know what each other's voices sound like. I know, isn't that? And then they're attached forever. Say, you just knew what my voice sounded like. It's the same thing. It's like in the grocery store when you're like, hey, Jessica, come on over here. That's what the penguins do across the Antarctic. Apparently, that's what they do. Yeah. So the music in this is great. The humor is great. The storytelling is great. And we had a couple of people ask our opinion of this. Would this be an okay one to take kids to see? I will tell you that there are some suspenseful scenes in it with the predators and stuff like that. There were no really hard to watch scenes in terms of there are life and death situations. But I think those are good conversations for you to have with the child and why. And there were no bloody or gory scenes. The only nasty scene is when a chick did throw up and that's if you've ever worked with birds, you've seen that. An 8-year-old boy would think that's hilarious because the little boy that was sitting in front of us in the theater was dying laughing. It was. So I do think this is a good one for you to take even younger kids because they're going to love the penguins. It's funny. Even if they don't understand what Ed Helms is talking about and all that stuff, it's a good experience for them to go fall in love with an animal that they may not have a lot of exposure to. So use this to your advantage if you're looking for a good educational video for your family and your kids to watch. I think that's the majority of it. Music, humor, Ed Helms. The main penguins were very cute to watch the entire time with Adeline and Steve. I mean, come on, Steve. That's just a great name. The penguin. All right, so since this is unconventional, we're kind of mixing together spoilers and non-spoilers reviews, which we typically do. Let's go ahead and rate the film. Okay. So 1 through 5, would you go see this film again? How likely? So 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. What would you say? A 4. Do what? You would go see this again? I am shocked. I loved it. It was a really good movie. I was going to say a 2. I'm sorry. I really, I'm an animal guy. I love documentaries. But, if someone really wanted to go see this, I would go with them to see this. But I'd have to be kind of okay, I can do this. Here's why I'd go see it in theaters again. Because my TV at home is way smaller than the theater. And I feel like you get the whole picture. That's true. Of it being in Antarctica. And the sounds. It was really cool the way that they did the little sound. They had the penguins come waddling from the side. Yes, thank you. And the bird would be on this side and then you'd hear it over here. I can't replicate that at my house. Yes. That's why I'd give it a 4. And it's another reason to go see this in theaters and not just watch it at home when it comes out. Because you will get that cinematic experience and it makes you feel like you're actually there. Absolutely. In Antarctica, except it's just not as cold. Although theaters are usually very cold. Yeah, I was about to say, I was jealous of the people with blankets. Yeah, so, take blankets because you will feel cold even if it's not actually cold. Watching. You'll just be like, oh my gosh, this actually does feel cold in here now. Anyway, so a 4 for Jessica, surprising for me. A 2 for me. But again. So we average out to a 3. So a 2 is not a bad thing. It just means how likely I would go see it again. Yeah, so that's our ratings. We want to know from you now if you have seen Disneynature Penguins. Let us know down in the comments section below. Keep the conversation going and let us know what you thought about the film.
If you haven't already, please be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and we do a lot of fun stuff on social media, so check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And that's all we have for you in this edition of Eye to Eye, but until we assemble again,
may the Force be with you.
And we'll see you real soon.
Bye.
Oh, you dropped my cat?
She's mad at me.
Animal abuser, you. Stop dropping my cat everywhere. How bad did you drop her?
I'm crying.
You dropped her that bad?
She just fell right through.
My poor cat!